Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. 30th of April. Is this the last day of the month or do we have a 31st? You see, I don't know. It is the last day of the month. That's what I thought. Well, guys, let's go to the charts here. Kind of an interesting setup today. Well, I mean, it's always an interesting setup. No, that's not what we wanted. Here we are. E-mini yesterday ended up being a pretty big up day. We started out selling, actually made a little bit on it, but then this thing just took off, and there was some earnings after the bell that really took them higher, and that's this. But now here, after the overnight session, we are now slightly lower. Now, I would be really careful about this setup because it is the last day of the month and there's a lot of window dressing, etc. So they could very much try and create a sucker's bet for us, trying to get us to sell it too early. I think, hey, sell in May and go away. That may very well play out this year, but it is not May yet. Treasuries, about where they were. There was a lot of movement during the FOMC that we saw, but in the end, they didn't really move anywhere. So, Treasuries kind of interesting in that respect. Oh, we should check oil. Where's oil at? Oil's still kind of recovering. Back to 18. Well, I still say that they should make it back to 20, but we'll see if they actually do it. Yeah, we got to check the, I just minimized it. Oh, I see. Sometimes I get this thing where it's like, it moves to a different time series. Hate that. Okay. So I can see here that the inverse correlation between the euro and stocks has dissipated. So that is, I'd say, good news for scalping, but not necessarily good or bad, but it was kind of a little frustrating value-wise, saying, oh man, like these valuations are really crazy, and then they just keep going up because of the dollar devaluation. Let's go to turn on the text-to-speech here. Come on. Let's hope that the text-to-speech is not slowed down like it was yesterday. Google experiencing some slowness on their services. Let's see everybody filtering in. How are you guys doing? I think that my DOM is not loading the full session because we've traded a wider range than that in the E-mini. There we go. There we go. I was like, that's not right. There we go. Okay, so also I don't feel like I got a good night's rest. I did get to bed at a reasonable time, but my wife was up almost all night, and I woke up more than usual last night. Felt really hot, even though it was normal temperatures. So yeah. I gotta be cautious. I think, though, the focus will be just like stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. And not try and do anything too funky. Well, they may give us a buy here. I don't know. Well, I'm not really seeing like, I don't know if I see everything that I would really like to see to want to go long here, but the hour is about to go positive at 29.28. So there is that. Click here to retry. Oh, you guys got to say something. Say good morning. Hello. I will do it. I'll do it. There we go.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says test.
Okay, it's fast again.
Jan Rodenberg says good morning everyone.
Hey Jan, is that is today the first time that you have watched? That seems to me to be a new name, but I'm a little unsure. Well, they went through it for a brief moment and then they came back down through.
Vincenzo C says test 1 2 3. Syllabus. Jan Rodenberg says I've been here before.
Oh, okay.
Arash says good
Well,
morning.
welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, I kind of want to buy it, but I don't like the way that one. I don't think so. I think that they're gonna need to come back and do their twisty turny thing first. It's not quite the way I like to see it set up. Let's see what's on Twitter. Germany poised to prolong most curbs. German officials signaled there won't be a significant further easing of restrictions on public life for at least another week, as data showed coronavirus infections rose the most in 4 days. Ooh. I'm wondering here, because in the United States here, there's definitely been a decrease in cases in New York, but I feel that there are many other areas, like Utah, for instance, that maybe they aren't far enough along to ease restrictions. I'm not sure that we really have enough solid data in places like Utah to really, really know for sure. Because in Utah, it feels like a significant overreaction. Like it hasn't really gotten that bad. There's certainly enough data for me to say that it was a good idea to social distance and all that, but it just hasn't gotten that bad here. Let's see here. Oh, yes, we're also having the ECB press conference. And let's see here. We have the jobless claims coming out here in less than a minute. Man, you see, I'm already like off. I should be like, boom, news. Initial jobless claims were looking for a reading of 3,500,000, with a previous reading of 4,427,000. We're also looking Canadian GDP. Nobody cares about that. Spot 1%. Personal income, big number, negative 1.5%. And core PCE price index. This is the measure of inflation that the Federal Reserve looks at year over year. We're looking for a reading of 1.6 versus a previous reading of 1.8. Personal spending, we're looking for a reading of negative 5. And then the core PCE price index, we're looking for month over month, negative spot 1%. So we're saying that there's going to be, that doesn't make, okay, so here we are. Here's the numbers. Initial jobless claims, worse than expected at 3,839,000 versus an expected 3,500. And that, but continuation jobless claims is a less. Better than expected at 17,992,000 versus the expected 19. So E-mini moving up a little bit on that. PPI year over year, negative 2.4. That was that Canadian number we didn't care about. Okay, personal income, negative 2 versus negative 1.5. Personal income decrease more than expected. Possibly could push our treasuries up, maybe. Well, I'm not seeing anything too big right now. And where's our PCE price index? I haven't gotten that number yet, nor the personal spending number. Okay, so the personal spending number is negative 7.5, And the core PCE price index is in line with expectations at negative spot 1. Okay, so the pocketbooks of Americans has been harmed in the month of March more than expected. Not good, guys. Not good. Treasury's not really reacting to that at all. Donald Trump's tweeting. Oh, what did General Flynn tweet? Wait, he's retweeting General Flynn. What do we got here? We'll come over and watch this. It's an American flag. Cool. I thought he was gonna read. There was gonna be something crazy. No, it was just a flag. CNN doesn't want to talk about their prosecution of General Flynn and why they got the story so wrong. They, along with others, should pay a big price for what they have purposely done to this man and his family. They won't even cover the big breaking news about this scam. Yeah, really is kind of curious that it hasn't been covered a whole lot. But of course, why talk about General Flynn when you can talk about coronavirus? Anybody saying anything about the news that we just got here, though? I don't really see it. Is the ECB press conference starting? Oh, that was an hour ago.
Good morning.
Oh, it's going. Okay.
Bonjour, ladies and gentlemen. The Vice President who is with us.
They just started the live stream an hour ago, but they're still
very pleased to welcome you to our press conference. We will now
Are they doing it via Zoom as well?
Which was also attended by the Commission Executive Vice President, Mr. Valdis Dombrovskis. The euro area is facing an economic contraction of a magnitude and speed that are unprecedented in peacetime. Measures to contain the spread of the coronavirus, COVID-19, have largely halted economic activity in all the countries of the euro area and across the globe. Survey indicators for consumer and business sentiment have plunged, suggesting a sharp contraction in economic growth and a profound deterioration in labor market conditions. Given the high uncertainty surrounding the ultimate extent of the economic fallout, growth scenarios produced by ECB staff suggest that euro area GDP could fall by between 5 and 12% this year, depending crucially on the duration of the containment measures and the success of policies to mitigate the economic consequences for businesses and workers. As the containment measures are gradually lifted, these scenarios foresee a recovery in economic activity, although its speed and scale remain highly uncertain.
Highly uncertain.
Inflation has declined as a result of the sharp fall in oil prices and slightly lower HICP inflation, excluding energy and food. The decisive and targeted policy measures that we have taken since early March have provided crucial support to the euro area economy and especially to the sectors most exposed to the crisis. In particular, our measures are supporting liquidity conditions and helping to sustain the flow of credit to households and firms, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, and to maintain favorable financing conditions for all sectors and jurisdictions. We welcome the measures taken by euro area governments and the European institutions to ensure sufficient healthcare resources and to provide support to affected companies, workers and households. At the same time, continued and ambitious efforts are needed, notably through joint and coordinated policy action to guard against downside risks and to underpin the recovery. In line with our mandate, the Governing Council is determined to continue to support households and firms in the face of the current economic disruption and heightened uncertainty in order to safeguard medium-term price stability. Accordingly, the Governing Council decided today to further ease the conditions on our targeted long-term refinancing operations, also known as TLTRO III. Specifically, we decided to reduce the interest rate on TLTRO III operations
They reduce the interest rate on
from
that?
June 20 to June 21st to 50 basis points below the average interest rate on the Eurosystem's main refinancing operations prevailing over the same period. Moreover, for counterparties whose eligible net lending reaches the lending performance threshold, the interest rate over the period from June 20 to June 21st will now be 50 basis points below the average deposit facility rate prevailing over the same period. We also decided on a new series of non-targeted pandemic emergency longer-term refinancing operations that we will call PELTROs to support liquidity conditions in the euro area financial system and contribute to preserving the smooth functioning of money markets by providing an
Twemdog says Sethwatch
liquidity backstop.
2014.75s.
The PELTROs consist of 7 additional refinancing operations commencing in May
Well, it looks like they're
2020
taking a dive here.
and maturing in a staggered
It's kind of a
sequence
random
between
move, but
July and September 2021, in line with the duration of our collateral easing measures. They will be carried out as at fixed rate standard
I have to say
procedures
that looks like a
with full
pretty
allotment,
good
with an interest rate
move,
that
but
is
I don't want to make a
25
trade while
basis
the
points
ECB is
below
talking.
the average rate on the
But
main refinancing
it looks like we could have gone
operation
short there,
prevailing
29.25
over the
as they
life
started to
of
fall out.
each PELTRO. Further details on the amendments made to the terms of TLTRO III and on our new PELTROs will be published in dedicated press releases this afternoon at 3:30 Continental European Time. Since the end of March, we have been conducting purchases under our new Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program, PEP, which has an overall envelope of 750 billion euros to ease the overall monetary policy stance and to counter the severe risks to the monetary policy transmission mechanism and the outlook for the euro area posed by the
Brannigan Barrett on
coronavirus
Twitter
pandemic.
is saying no action from either the Fed or the
These
ECB. This will
purchases
take the steam out of the
will
recent equity
continue
rally.
to be
Time to be
conducted
short the euro or
in
short
a
US
Boss
assets.
says good
flexible
morning.
manner over time
BTP Trading Central.
across
Thanks.
asset
Hey John, how are you?
classes and among jurisdictions.
I'm a little skeptical still
We
about
will conduct net
today is the
asset
day, but
purchases
maybe
under the
maybe
PEP
it would be. If it happened today, then it would be
until
very
the
significant. I
Governing
think.
Council judges that the coronavirus crisis phase is over. But in any case, until the end of this year.
And that looks like the treasurers want to go break the new
Moreover,
high.
net purchases under our asset purchase program will continue at a monthly pace of 20 billion, together with the purchases under the additional 120 billion
DJ
euros
Spinglass says good
temporary
morning.
envelope
Do you find that
until
looking at the
end
book on
of
the S is
year.
difficult because the numbers on the buy
We
side switch to the
continue
sell side so
expect
fast?
monthly
Is the
net
book more
asset
helpful on
purchases
lower
under the
volatility
APP
products?
to run for as long as necessary to reinforce the accommodative impact of our policy rates.
Sorry, I don't want to talk
to
over
end
her.
shortly
Is it okay if
before
I
we
just
start
mute her? I'll
raising
just mute
the
her
key
for a second.
ECB
Bot says the
ask
8:30
us.
news was jam-packed this morning, none of it positive.
We also
Yeah, well, actually, there was one thing that was positive, John. The continuing jobless claims was better than expected. The continuing jobless claims, they were looking for 19,000 and there was 17,000. So what we continue to see is that the new jobless claims continues to be higher than expected, but then they're falling off the rolls faster or when they revise it. So there's that. Anyways, so Ping Glass, when you're talking about the DOM, I wouldn't say that it's more or less useful. I think that in ES, it's a little bit easier to trade the ES without the DOM. Whereas the 10-year treasury, I really don't see how you get a good trade in the 10-year treasury without looking at the DOM. Okay. But when you use the DOM in the E-mini, so far, I've been looking at different things. Like the amount that it trades on the bid versus the ask, I don't really pay too much attention to, so much as that they're trading bigger numbers in that area than in other places. So those are kind of the sorts of things that I'm looking for, is like, is there actual trade happening at that place, or are they just ranging and trying to find people? Is kind of what I watch in
Bot says
addition
so.
to
They
the
get thrown
speed
under the bus, and that's
volume
positive
stuff.
news.
I don't know. I guess it means that those people are finding work again. I don't know. It's kind of weird. The
Bot says
personal
thinking
spending though
face.
was bad. The thing that concerns me is the personal spending and the personal income numbers were both worse than expected. Turn it back on.
to all parts of the economy and to all
So let me
jurisdictions
share with
in the
something again.
pursuit
I feel like I've been paying attention to other
price
market
stability
DJ
participants too
Spinglass
much.
says also, what does the
We
tone that
are
gets played
therefore
periodically
fully
mean?
prepared
Thanks for the help.
to increase the size
Yeah, so
of
that
the
ping
pandemic
is
emergency
a
purchase
strategy
program
that
and
we
adjust its
developed
composition
with, or that a
Bot says
member
all they
named
were
Case
disqualified for
shared with
benefits
us.
for some
and for
reason.
as long as needed.
That
In
could
any
be too.
case, the Governing Council stands ready to
Probably
adjust
not
all of its
that
instruments
significant.
as
You know,
appropriate
2 million
to
worth
ensure
though.
that inflation moves
No,
towards its
so
aim
Ace,
in a
he would come
sustained
in and
manner
he gives us
in
a
line
signal.
with
He
its
still stops by,
commitment
but
to
he's not able
stability.
to stop by as much. So he gave us that signal, and
Let me
that
now
ding, it
explain
happens
our
every time
assessment
that
in
there's a
greater
potential
detail,
setup. But
starting with the
the
economic
potential
analysis.
setup is not every time that
The
he would
latest
take it.
economic indicators
So
and
there
survey
has to
results
be a little bit
covering the
of
period since the
discretion involved.
coronavirus
Means that
spread
we're
to the euro
passing
area
the crossing point,
have shown
but
an
you really need to
unprecedented
see
decline,
the volume
pointing to a
starting to trade
significant
higher
contraction
in order to
in
really
euro
take that.
area economic activity and to
I don't know if
rapidly
that makes sense.
deteriorating labor markets.
See, like we came in
The
this right here, we
coronavirus
just touched it,
pandemic and the
but we bounced right
associated
off there,
containment
right?
measures
DJ Spinglass
have
says, what product
severely
is a ding on?
affected
It's on the
the
E-mini.
manufacturing and the
We came up,
service
we bounced right
sectors,
off of that moving
taking a
average.
toll on the
We need to
productive
see
capacity of the
higher
euro
volume,
area economy
right?
and
We're
on
coming
domestic
back.
demand.
We're we're
In the
trading more
first
volume
quarter of
here.
2020,
This
which was
volume
only
weighted moving
partially
average is
affected by
moving
the
up.
spread of the
They're about to
coronavirus,
cross. Then maybe we can
euro
take it.
area real GDP decreased by
There is an order flow
3.1%
component of it, so we have to
quarter
keep
on
an eye on
quarter,
it and see if
reflecting
it's
the impact
really
of the
a
lockdown
spot that we
measures
want to trade.
in the final weeks of the quarter. The sharp downturn in economic activity in April suggests that the impact is likely to be even more severe in the second quarter. Looking beyond the
Even more
immediate
so, of course.
disruption stemming from the coronavirus pandemic, euro area growth is expected to resume as the containment measures
Oh
are
yeah, so let me share
gradually-
this with you, John. Here's what Jeffrey was saying yesterday. The shock and awe of the last 6 weeks' highly questionable policies served its short-term purpose, but I predicted and fear its effect will soon wear off. If these policies work so well to get back to quote-unquote normal, we should not still need them. And I've been thinking about that all day yesterday, and it really bothers me because I cannot come up with a good argument to counter it. Because yesterday the Federal Reserve was saying, hey, we're probably going to have to do more. And I'm sitting here like, well, if these policies are really being so effective, the stock market is really fairly priced, and we're just going to have a V-shaped recovery. Why do we still need these policies? Shouldn't it be that they've done their job and we can let the markets be on their own now? Clearly, that's not the case. Clearly, that's not the case. But we got these company earnings. A lot of companies for the first quarter weren't too affected by the coronavirus. And so I think that's kind of what we're seeing is the equity market is going up to price in these companies that weren't hurt so bad. But in the long run, they're all going to get dragged down. And so even though things are up temporarily and maybe it makes sense for stocks to be up, we could still in the long term see a fade. That's what I'm thinking right now. My longer term vision.
Including energy and food.
But we shouldn't let it affect us too much. I still suspect that we might have an update.
Prices for oil. Headline inflation is likely to decline considerably further over the coming months. The sharp downturn in economic activity is expected to lead to negative effects on underlying inflation over the coming months. However, the medium-term implications of the coronavirus pandemic for inflation are surrounded by high uncertainty, given that downward pressures linked to weaker demand may be partially offset by upward pressures related to supply disruptions. Market-based indicators of longer-term inflation expectations have remained at depressed levels. Even though survey-based indicators of inflation expectations have declined over the short and medium term, longer-term expectations have been less
Donald Trump's
affected.
still up and retweeting stuff, now retweeting CNN is part of the problem,
Turning
and
to
they
the
should be
monetary
sued for spreading
analysis.
lies and propaganda.
Broad money growth increased to 7.5% in March 2020 from 5.5% in February 2020. Money growth reflects bank credit creation for the private sector, which is driven to a large extent by drawing on credit lines and low opportunity costs of holding M3 relative to other financial instruments, while heightened economic uncertainty appears to have triggered a shift towards monetary holdings, likely for precautionary reasons. In this environment, the narrow monetary aggregate M1, encompassing the most liquid forms of money, continues to be the main contributor to broad money growth.
Find this thing from Brannigan Barrett that he
Developments
tweeted
in
18 minutes ago
loans to the
really
private
interesting. I
sector
don't know what the
have
BTP
also
is,
been
but he
shaped
said,
by the impact
I would
of the
caution on the
coronavirus.
BTP. Banks are paid 25
The
basis
annual
points to
growth
take money and
rate
lend
of
it, and they
loans
can
Bot
to
says
invest
the
it
Fed's
directly in
main
the
purpose is to
BTP.
make money.
stood at
Every time it lends money to fund the
3.4%
gov's
in
bailout
March
economic policy
2020,
programs, it makes money.
after 3.7% in
Invest directly
February,
into BTP at
while the annual
2.27% and have a
growth
free
rate of loans
25 basis
to
points of risk
non-financial
as a stock.
corporations stood at 5.4% in March, after 3% in February. These developments
Well,
are
so,
also
John,
clearly
if
visible
we go
in the
and make a
results
new
of the
low, does the
Euro
Federal
Area
Reserve
Bank Lending
still
Survey
make money?
for the first quarter of 2020, which indicate a surge in firms' demand for loans.
Everybody's
and
talking
for
that
drawing
that's
on
like the
credit
Fed's
lines to meet
bailout
liquidity
failed
needs
and
for
that they're
working
losing money.
capital, while financing
I don't
needs
think it's so simple
for
though,
fixed
because they
investment
can't directly
declined.
give money to people. That's the whole thing they were saying is
Demand for loans by
Congress
for
has to do that. All they
households
can do is
for house
lend to
purchase
people.
increased less than in previous quarter.
And well, we're through
Credit
that
standards for loans to
1475 Twin
firms
Dog was talking
tightened
about.
slightly, while credit standards for loans to households tightened more strongly. In both cases, this was related to the deterioration in the economic outlook.
Well,
and a
this does look
decline in
like
the
a good short, but
creditworthiness of
I'm
firms
still
and
of the
households.
opinion that I want to take a trade while
At
she's
the
talking.
same time, banks expect an easing of credit standards for loans to firms in the second quarter of 2020. Our policy measures, in particular the more favorable terms for TLTRO3 operations and the collateral easing measures should encourage banks to extend loans to all private sector entities. Together with the credit support measures adopted by national governments and European institutions, they support ongoing access to financing, including for those most affected by the ramifications of the coronavirus pandemic.
Oh, it's my Twitter anniversary, guys.
To sum up, a cross-check of the outcome of the economic analysis with the signals coming from the monetary analysis confirmed that an ample degree of monetary accommodation is necessary for the robust convergence of inflation to levels that are below but close to 2% over the medium term. Regarding fiscal policy, an ambitious and coordinated fiscal stance is critical. In view
Bot
of
says the
sharp
Fed lends to the
contraction
Gov,
in
the Gov
euro
doles out the
area
money.
economy.
The Fed stays arm's length to the
Measures
recipients of the
taken
Gov support.
should as much as possible be targeted and temporary in nature.
Oh, that's
in
right,
response
because
to the
they
pandemic
created all of these things with the
emergency.
Treasury.
We welcome the endorsement by the European Council of the Eurogroup agreement on the 3 safety nets for workers, businesses and sovereigns, amounting to a package worth 540 billion euros. At the same time, the Governing Council urges further strong and timely efforts to prepare and support the recovery.
Well, now I just feel
In
left
this
out.
regard, we welcome
Bot
the
says no matter
European
what happens, the
Council
Fed will get
agreement
paid, make
to
money in the
work
end.
towards establishing a recovery fund dedicated to dealing with this
See that.
unprecedented crisis.
But I'm merely suggesting that it's
shortly
not
take
guaranteed.
your questions.
It's never happened before, but I don't think it's guaranteed. I think the
Before
whole thing
that,
people are concerned about is
On
there.
behalf of the entire Euro
If
system
you ever get to the
and
point where
all
it
members
doesn't
of the
work.
ECB, I would like to acknowledge once
Oh,
more
I mean,
that this is a global health crisis.
man,
and
that
the
is
highest
like a
priority
really bearish
has to go
fade
to
there.
Twemdog
trying to
says shame
save
on the
lives and
14.75.
prevent the spread
Watch
of the
09.
disease. Since our last press conference on March
Didn't
the
really
12th,
hold them at all.
it's about 3 additional million people who have been infected by coronavirus, and a third of them in the euro area. And while it is heartening to see the curve of death flattening, as you've heard many times, we must remember that each death is a tragedy for those who stay, and we would like to express our sympathy and our condolences to all those who are suffering those deaths. And we would like to also express our gratitude, deep gratitude, to all those, from doctors to nurses to ambulance drivers, and all those who actually are on the front line of this fight against the virus, and who risk their life. As I told you, those are very strange and uncertain times, and it is in a way demonstrated by the absence of Vice President de Guindos next to me. Vice President de Guindos is with us online. We have been operating in split teams.
DJ Spinglass says, hi
and
bots, can you
therefore we do
elaborate
not
on the
see
concept
each
that the
other.
Fed's
We do
main
not
purpose is to
contact
make
each other,
money?
And he is with us on the phone. If there are questions directed to him, he will be able to take them whenever it's convenient. But he's with us.
Yeah, I mean, the Fed would argue that their
we're
main
going to
purpose
operate
is
also in a strange
maximum
way.
employment and
The
price
room is
stability.
not like any room that we've
But
had
those
in, press
those goals are
conferences
kind of,
before.
you
It's
know,
empty.
the more profitable
So
the
you are
Federal
all
Reserve
online,
is,
and I know
then
that,
theoretically the
you are
greater their
submitting
ability to
questions,
affect
you will
price
be submitting
stability and
questions, in relation
maximum
to the
employment.
Governing Council that has just concluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, we will start with the first question going to Mr. Balazs Karani from Reuters.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question.
So they don't do the Zoom call thing, they're just doing it through the phone.
Changing the composition or the pace of the asset purchases, most particularly I'm
Bot says the Fed is not owned by the government. It is a lender financier to the government.
In APP.
That's true, it's not owned by the government.
About OMT. And whether
privately
you see
owned
OMT as an
by
appropriate tool in the
the
current
member.
crisis for some of the countries. Do you
How
think
does it work?
a
Like the
blanket
banks
ESM
really
program
kind
for
of
all of the Eurozone,
are
as
owners of it.
floated by some, would be a viable solution? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your two pointed questions. You know, I'm going to take the opportunity of this first question to take you back a little bit to the last 2 days that we've had with Governing Council members. And I also want to take this opportunity to walk you through the masses of changes that the Eurosystem and the ECBs together have decided, and for most of them actually now implemented in the last few weeks. So in terms of the current situation, we are facing an economic contraction
I'm noticing
of a
something here in
magnitude
the
and
10-year.
speed that is unprecedented
I look
in
at the
recent
level
history.
2. There's more
The spread
offers
of
than
the
there are
coronavirus
bids.
and the associated
But
containment
when you
measures
add up all of the orders
have
that are
literally
stacking on
halted,
here, the bid is actually
economic
stronger.
activity to a large extent across the globe. And we're seeing a rapid evolution of the economic effects of the necessary containment measures in our area. Initially, there were only some sectors that were badly affected. We were talking about transportation, we were talking about tourism, we were talking about entertainment. And gradually, as the containment measures took hold, entire sectors of the economy, to a large extent, were simply shut down. And it's reflected, and it will continue to be reflected. The hard numbers are just beginning to come. We just had a few numbers from the first quarter. And frankly, our forecast for the second quarter in our severe scenario points to minus 15% on a quarterly basis. Consumer business sentiment indicators are in free fall, while labor market conditions have deteriorated massively. If you look at the PMI composite, for instance, in April, 13.5%. And it comes from 29.7 in March, and before that, 51.6 in February. And that decline, which is also quite remarkable and explains quite a lot of things, was driven by the manufacturing sector, but very much so by the service sector as well. The European Commission flash consumer confidence.
It's interesting to me to watch the difference between Lagarde and Jerome Powell. Because Jerome Powell is such an egghead about it. But listen to the way that she's describing this. It's like it's a story. She's telling a story. The way that she explains the numbers and everything. Right? She's just... You can tell that her primary expertise is in communication.
To 425,000, covering over 10 million employees. And in Italy, it's more than 4.6 million employees that are covered.
If you could combine Lagarde and Jerome Powell, if they had a child together or something like that, you would have the perfect central bank president, I think. They have both sides of the puzzle, but neither of them have the whole package.
It makes our
Okay,
job
there's
of
2909.
forecasting and all those who are trying to forecast around the world extremely difficult. As I said, our growth scenarios
Could probably
on an
just
annual
take it off
basis,
of 29,
from the
10,
mild
25.
to the more severe,
Easily.
vary from 5 to 12% negative, depending on the containment measures that are taken. Now, of course, as and when the containment measures are lifted, we expect a recovery in economic activity, but we cannot tell at what speed and what will be the scale of it.
So I'm kind of interested to see what will
Let me
happen when
now
they get
turn
down to
to
2900.
the number of measures that we have taken since March. All those measures are aimed at, number one, ensuring ample liquidity conditions. Number two, protecting the smooth flow of credit to business and a household, and preserving highly accommodative financing conditions. So those are the three goals we're pursuing. And there are pandemic emergency purchase program, 750 billion euros, combined with our increased APP decided on the 12th of March, 120 billion euros, combined with our monthly purchases of 20 billion monthly euros, we have over 1 trillion euros that we can deploy and use until the end of the year to purchase assets. Our new targeted lending facility provides for around 3 trillion euros in liquidity to banks at a negative rate. And this rate can be significantly below our policy rate. Third, we have also significantly eased our collateral rules to ensure that banks can continue to make use of the refinancing facilities, ensuring that our monetary policy tools remain effective even in times of severe financial market stress and against the backdrop of looming rating downgrades. So these measures altogether form a really powerful package and are providing crucial support to the euro area economy, notably to those sectors most exposed to the crisis. And I will tell you, as the economic situation is evolving rapidly, we are constantly monitoring the situation and evaluating each of those measures as standalones and as part of the package to test whether they are still properly calibrated and sized appropriately. And in light of this, and with the view to further ease the conditions for banks to provide credit to the real economy, we decided to take further action today. So we eased the conditions of our
Treasury's ticked up there is what I was saying. Okay, well.
What did we do? We reduced the interest rates for the period from June 20 to June 21 by a further 25 basis points. The rate in TLTRO3 can now be as low as minus 1 percentage point. We also decided to create a new instrument that we call PELTRO, the Pandemic Emergency Long-Term Refinancing Operation, which is intended to support liquidity conditions to the entire euro area, to the entire financial system, to contribute to preserving the smooth functioning of money markets by providing effectively a liquidity backstop. And these operations will be carried out at fixed-rate tender procedures with full allotment at an interest rate that will be 25 basis points below the average main refinancing operation rate, or MRO.
One of the things is that this push down is not really meeting a whole lot of resistance.
The Governing Council, and we discussed that over the last 2 days.
I think that when the market opens, that might change.
To strengthen its commitment to ensure supportive financial conditions across
sure
all
starting
sectors
to feel like
and
maybe
countries,
they really
so that
will
they
just
can
sell it
absorb
today.
this unprecedented shock that we are experiencing.
Opening lower from yesterday will
And
definitely
with this
be
in mind, we will make
a
full
negative,
use
but there's
of the
could
flexibility
be
that
mean
is
reversion come
embedded
in,
in PEP and in other components of our policy toolkit to ensure that our monetary policy stance reaches all sectors and countries in the same manner. I'm saying all that to you to address your questions, because as one of the decisions that we made and that I just commented, we decided to enlarge the pool of collaterals by effectively freezing ratings where they were on April the 7th. We provided for a floor, which is at CQS5, but that gives a large pool from which banks can actually draw in order to get financing. We did not discuss the APP, but let me remind you that, again, we are fully flexible. We will look at all options. We will determine and monitor, and we will make sure that our monetary stance and our monetary policy transmission are both effective. Your second question dealt with OMT. Now, let me remind you that OMT was conceived back in 2012, and there was full publication about the terms and conditions and
Well,
characteristics
man, that
of
fall
OMT.
from 08 to
And
02.
OMT was intended
Jeez.
for particular
They're
country
trading
cases
much bigger orders
under
down here now.
particular circumstances.
So that
where
definitely woke up
because
some of the
fiscal
bigger
policy
guys.
or structural policies, misguidance, there was a potential risk out there that the euro area be at risk and that it would be self-fulfilling. Those were the days. We are no longer facing that situation. We are facing a situation where it's not a single country, but it's all countries, where it's a global shock that applies in a very symmetric way.
Okay, thanks,
So,
LaGuard. We get
The
it.
best
We get
tool
it.
that we have
It's
in
a
our
really bad.
toolbox is indeed the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program, PEP. Now, of course, OMT remains part of the toolbox, and we're not suggesting that we would eliminate OMT. But for the crisis we're going through at the moment, PEP is clearly designed to that effect. Added to which, the triggering of OMT, of course, is a matter for the Governing Council to
I'm
decide.
wondering, will they usually
I'll
cut
take
her
all the
off
questions.
when the U.S.
The
markets
next question
get
please
going,
will go
and
to
she
Ms.
just,
Caroline Look from
they asked
Bloomberg
one
News.
question and she went on for like 15 minutes.
Hi, good afternoon. President Lagarde, just to be clear, because you just said that the Governing Council did not discuss APP, I was wondering, was there any discussion about increasing or adjusting the size and composition of PPP, since that's something that you mentioned that ECB stands ready to adjust, and it's something a lot of economists are expecting at the moment. And my second question is, what was your rationale for not cutting interest rates today, given that the rate on your new pandemic emergency longer-term refinancing operations seems to effectively act as a rate cut in the MRO rate by 25 basis points? Thank you.
Okay, on your first question relating to the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program, let me just remind you that it's a program that is a standalone, very exceptional program that is intended to address the issue of the pandemic. So it is unlike any other program, which is why it was targeted, it was temporary, and it was flexible. I'll remind you that the life of that
They're going to go through it down again?
is going to be determined by the Governing Council.
Gee.
No, it will not end earlier than the end of calendar year, but depending on the length of the crisis,
Well,
and
that
this
one
will be
didn't
the
just like
determination of the
completely
Governing
slip,
Council,
but it's still
it might be extended further than the end of 2020. It is also not the only program that we have. We have purchase programs, including the 120 billion euros that were decided on March the 12th, and we have our recurring monthly 20 billion euros program that is also in place. So let's not just focus on PEP, which is very specifically designed, but let's make sure that we understand the whole firepower that the ECB has available, which is north of
so there was a little bit of a
1
turn
trillion
up.
euros. Now, on PEP, I just want to take you to exactly the wording that we have, which relates to the flexibility. But from memory, what was decided, and it was the
See
fruit
a bunch
of
of people getting
significant
caught off guard on
discussions,
that one.
all in the light of the exceptional circumstances that we were going through. We have very specifically
I don't
the
know though,
fact
that one might be the one where they
to the
bounce.
extent, and I
No,
quote,
I think that they
that
are
some
kind of building the
self-imposed
volume up,
limits
so maybe
might
they
hamper
could turn up
action
again.
that the ECB is required to take in order to fulfill its mandate, the Governing Council will consider revising them to the extent necessary to make its action proportionate to the risks that we face. So that's a very clear indication that if it is so necessary because our action is impaired by those self-imposed limits, we will revisit them. And you know that the legal act was published shortly after that.
Bot
which
says at DJ
distinguishes very
Spinglass, interesting
clearly
reading here.
the APP holdings from the
www.factsofacts.com
PEP
news.
holdings.
The Federal Reserve is privately owned.
We believe that we have
It is
to
privately
make
owned.
full use and continue to make full use of that flexibility. And that applies across classes of assets, it applies across jurisdictions, it applies across time. So we will use that flexibility full-fledged. Indeed, we stand ready to revisit, to examine, and as is mentioned very clearly in the introductory statement, to calibrate and to adjust the size and the composition of PEP in size, in length, in order to make sure that
Bot says you'll need to replace dot with actual dots periods to get the link to work.
Is properly transmitted. On the interest rate.
Actually, John, because we gave you
the bulk
moderator
of what we've
privileges,
done,
you don't have
since
to
early
put those
March.
dots in there anymore.
And we
You can
believe
just
that
post the actual link.
Between the massive liquidity facility, between the revised and much improved TLTROs, with the enlarged pool of collaterals from which banks can draw, combined with an interest rate that
Bot
itself
says I
was
don't. I did not
already
know that.
at,
Try it.
Low level.
Try it.
We have
Post the straight link
combination
and
as
see
a
if it'll
package
let him.
to actually address the
Click
current
it.
circumstances. And it shows in the results. It does show in the results. I think the
Bot says.
the bank lending survey that was published a couple of days ago is absolutely explicit in that respect. The way by which yields on many of the government bonds has evolved over the last few weeks is also indicative of the action that we take. We have used flexibility when it was necessary. We will continue to do so, believe me.
Bot says cool.
Oh, I like the way it said cool.
Next question would go to please to Martin Arnold from the FT.
Hello, Christine. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hardly.
Hardly. Okay, I'll speak up. Two very quick questions. One is a lot of economists are saying the ECB should just adopt formal yield control policies. What do you think about that? And do you think it is, do you now believe that it is the ECB's role to control the spreads on government debt? Thank you.
All right, the yield curve control policy. As I just said, I think the combination of tools that we're using at the moment enables us to operate across the entire curve and to actually deal with all maturities. So whether it's the short end, the long end of the curve, we are in a capacity to deal with the two key objectives that we have, which is to make sure that monetary stance reaches its goal and that monetary policy is properly transmitted. All of that within our mandate. And all of that with the ultimate objective of price stability. Now, clearly,
I
we're
just want to
operating
click
under very
on the
specific
DJ
dot.
Spinglass says
circumstances,
thanks bots.
and the
Have to run.
combination of those tools enables
Hey,
us.
sorry, it's a
to
kind of a boring
satisfy,
session so far.
those
Being glass, but we'll
objectives.
catch you later, right?
As I said earlier,
I'm
we will
honestly, I'm
use
trying to not
any
fall
and all
asleep here.
flexibility that we have, in accordance with our
I'm
mandate,
distracting myself.
in order to make sure that our monetary policy is properly transmitted to all jurisdictions, from east to west, from north to south, to all sectors of the economy. And we have
DJ
the
Spinglass
flexibility
says
to do
session
so.
is great errands.
So we will use it
Gotcha.
full-fledged. Thank you.
She is,
Our
I
next
don't,
question will go to Annette
there's something
Weissler
off
from
about her,
CNBC,
man.
Please.
Like, am I the only one feeling there's something off about her today? Like, she is good at talking, but it's like what she's focusing on seems really weird to me.
RJ Wheel says it's amazing how many people don't know the Fed is independent cartel of banks, not a government institution.
There is a request from Annette
Well, I mean, it is a
we'll hold it.
it's
And
created
next
by
go
the
to Miss
government and
Isabella
it's
Bufacchi
given
from Il Sole,
privileges
and then
by
I
the
come back
government.
Bot
next
says I
if
like
possible
Lagarde.
to
Sometimes she
Annette
gets
Weisbach.
frustrated by the stupidity of the
Isabella
questions the
Bufacchi,
reporters ask.
Thank you for this opportunity, and I have two questions. One is again
It's
on
true.
the
Some of the people that they put to
because
be the
we
reporters
need
on
the
this
details of the new pandemic
don't really know what's going
ECL,
on.
the special ESM precautionary credit line, will be defined shortly, and the market expects that this
The one that
new
always gets me is you'll get that
ECL
reporter that
give
will
the
ask some
possibility
blatantly
also to
political
pull the
partisan
trigger
question,
or
and the
ask for
ECB
the
president or
OMTs.
Federal
The
Reserve
other
president
special
RJ
details
Wheel
just
of the
says, but the
new
key word
completely
is,
ECL
it is
pass.
independent.
should have to trigger OMTs.
Yes, it's independent.
And then the second question is more on Italy because reportedly the ECB has been buying very heavily.
Well, I think the reason that that
PSPP and
fact gets pushed is
yet
because
capital key is
they're
still
trying to
there
say
and
that the
with no
Federal Reserve
reinvestment
does
of
things
principal
because
payments.
it's
And
what's
in
most
Italy,
profitable
there
for
is a feeling
them.
that the ECB could
Jan
do
Rodenberg
more
says Lagarde
because you
used to be a
said
lawyer
that
and a
the
politician, so
coronavirus
she
has
knows how to talk.
symmetric
Yeah.
in its
It's just,
impact,
I'm not
but
so
then it
sure
has asymmetric
I
damages. Is
am
the
on board
ECB,
with what
doing
she's
enough
choosing
for
to focus
Italy?
on.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. On OMT, I think I've already responded, but I'll be happy to expand on that. OMT was created in 2012. Different times, different issues, and it was designed for countries, but taken in isolation, that were facing particular serious circumstances. And clearly, countries had to be subject to an ESM program.
Bot
which
says
had
independent and will never lose
conditionalities.
money. In the end, it will always charge whatever it needs to remain profitable.
Those September 12 conditions also provided that the governing council would consider.
I guess my argument is that if the Federal Reserve lost money, that would be the end of our financial system as we know it, right?
Council needs to assess that there is a
I'm saying it's like
and objective.
the black swan of all black swans.
As I said earlier, OMT is not necessarily best suited for the present contingencies.
You smell what I'm stepping in?
It is there. But given the symmetry of the shock, clearly the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program is designed specifically to that end, to make sure that monetary stance reaches its goals, monetary policy is transmitted throughout the euro area, and PEP provides that. It is exceptional, it is temporary, it is targeted, and it's intended to be used with great flexibility. You just noted that, actually. We do use flexibility in how we use PEP. And on that particular page, I'm pleased to report to you that the Governing Council has decided the publication principles that will apply to our PEP programs. That had not been clarified yet. And you'll be pleased to know also that we will apply the same granularity principles that apply to APP, but we will publish on a bi-monthly basis. So it will be accumulated over 2 months, but it will be as granular as the APP. So that will give really good and solid information, but given the specificity of PEP, we considered that it was most appropriate to do so on a bi-monthly basis. As I told you, our aims are twofold, and we will not tolerate any risk of fragmentation. We will want to make sure that there is plenty of liquidity. We will want to make sure that credit flows to the economy, that our monetary policy stance and transmission are effective.
Treasuries still
so
look bullish.
whichever
Like
country needs to benefit from our
Bot says specificity big word,
but
like marmalade.
We are determined to use all those tools, and we are determined to deploy full flexibility, as I just indicated.
And And we will now try to go back to Ms. Annette Weisbach from CNBC.
Y'all better hurry up. You got 10 minutes.
Luis Alarid says London sold the indices all night.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I have a very detailed question on whether you'd also
RJ Wheel says exactly.
think about
Its first law is
buying
survival of
junk
itself.
bonds, not
Its
only
interest above the
protecting
people.
them as collateral, so whether you also grandfather,
I think
for
that their
example,
primary concern is price
bonds
stability
that
and
look
maximum
back.
employment,
Another
and that they've
question
been
is,
carrying
just a
out that
clarification of what you said earlier, with
mission
regards to
as
Peltro.
effectively
Would you
as
also accept
probably they
other
can.
Says exactly.
counterparties, i.e. non-banks, or is
Okay,
just pure
let's
banks you're
let's test
thinking
this
about?
theory of yours.
Thank you.
So, if their true mission
So to your
is
question, is the ECB going to
I
buy
have to mute her for a second. If their true mission is to make money and not to ensure maximum price stability and employment, then what would they do differently? Right. So what are you're saying? What are they doing that favors them making money and does not help price stability and maximum employment?
And as I said already, we have been very, very clear, and if I need to repeat it again, I will repeat it again. We will not accept fragmentation of monetary transmission in the euro area or any pro-cyclical tightening of financing conditions. So, within our mandate and with these two principles in mind, we will adjust as and when needed. I think you had a second question, and that had to do with the Peltros. Now, I don't know exactly what you wanted to know about Peltros. Do you mind repeating your question on Peltro?
I can. Whether you would also accept other counterparties for these specific operations other than banks? Would you extend it also to non-banks?
Peltro is an additional tool in many ways, because we had initially thought that the LTRO decided
RJ
on
Wheel
March
says I didn't
12
say
was
make money.
only a
I
bridge,
said survival. So what's
until
good for
the,
banks? That's not always
until
what's good for the masses.
The next
I think
entry
that
into effect of
maximum,
TLTRO.
that price
Actually,
stability and
put in
maximum
place
employment
Peltros,
is what's good for the masses.
To provide additional support to liquidity conditions in financial markets.
Bot says I'm not saying it doesn't help
contributing
those
to
things,
preserve the
it's simply
smooth
not their reason for
functioning
being.
of money markets
You should read the article
by
at that link I
providing an
posted.
effective liquidity
I'm pretty
backstop.
sure that it is like
Extending it beyond
it's in their charter.
it's
in the legislation that created the Federal
counterparties that we
Reserve.
have. The Governing Council has not discussed that, but once
The
again,
government could
we are in
dismantle the
such
Fed if they
uncertain times,
wanted to.
and there is such a threat.
They would never want
to the
to, but
economic fabrics of
they have the
our
power to do
societies
that
we have
legislatively.
to be open-minded and look at all possibilities. So I'm not closing off anything in that respect.
Take away their
but we
ability
have not
to set
discussed
interest
it,
rates.
in the Governing Council.
And we will now move to Tom Fairless from the Wall Street Journal, please.
So, two questions. The first
RJ Wheel says they could. Ask JFK how that went.
Oh, you think that JFK got killed because he wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve now?
Are you orienting yourself to?
I thought it was because he wanted to end the Vietnam War or something like that.
This year, it seems like analysts are thinking about it in those terms, that there might be about $750 billion of new government bond issuance in the eurozone. Is that a factor that you're looking at closely when you think about whether to increase the scale of the PEP? And my second question is that your measures today were really focused on the banking sector. Is that for a particular reason? Are you seeing any particular stresses in the eurozone banking sector at the moment? Thank you.
But I'm looking for a specific policy that they should be doing differently right now.
Our PEP is, as I said, one huge component of our purchase.
Bot says their Congress might have the power, but where would they get the money to pay the tab they have at the Fed today?
Well, you said that they make
Wheel
money.
Says, please don't tell me the Warren Report is on your bedside table.
Second,
you said that they make money,
we'll use full
so
flexibility to deploy
But I think you guys are avoiding the question.
The right direction,
what is
where
the
we feel
policy
there is
that
a
you don't
risk
like?
of tightening, and where we feel that we need to intervene to protect and preserve our monetary policy stance and our monetary policy transmission. As I said,
we should not debate around the actual question, around the actual issue. There's clearly something that the Federal Reserve is doing right now that you would prefer that they not do.
The duration of that PEP will be determined by the Governing Council, taking into account the pandemic crisis time.
So let me expand on that.
Take into account.
I am not happy with what the Federal Reserve is doing, but the thing that makes me unhappy about it is that they are doing what they're supposed to do for their mandate. In order to ensure price stability and maximum employment, they have to flood the market with all of this money. Otherwise, everybody would just pour into the dollar, and stock indexes would just get pummeled. The strength of the dollar in a crisis like this, it's a good thing, but in this particular crisis, it's too good of a good thing. And the dollar's strength has really kind of become a problem for markets. So in order to prevent a deflationary spiral, the Federal Reserve has to pump tons of money into the system. They really don't have any other choice. So I think that they're doing the right thing based on their mandate, but the concern that I have is that perhaps we have reached the limits of what our monetary system can actually handle, and that perhaps it is time that they have to just let things fail a little bit so that we can shed those obligations like bankruptcy, except for that, the government can't go bankrupt. But the world has washed itself in so much debt that I think that at some point everybody's going to have to turn around and say, okay, like all of this money here is forgiven, and we start over. And as we start over, we're going to have policies in place that prevent us from going into debt, like limits on, federal budgets so that they can't run a deficit for decades at a time, things like this. But it's not because the Federal Reserve is doing something that's against the people. They're doing what they're supposed to, and maybe we have reached the limit of our policy. Okay, so that's the thing that bothers me. But I wouldn't change if I was president of the Federal Reserve, I'd probably be doing the same thing.
RJ Wheel says I've got 24 half as line in sand on S.
So, but again, my question is like, what would...
Bot says I'm not avoiding the question. I simply said the Fed is not owned by the government or the public.
Yeah, you're probably not trying to make a point like that, John, but I think some people are taking it a step further. That's what I was saying. I want to know, is there a policy at the Federal Reserve that you would change for any of you? Because I feel like they are doing what they're supposed to do, according to my knowledge, and that I don't know enough to be recommending any changes.
The moment, and I take the opportunity of this press conference to actually thank all staff of the Eurosystem and those here at the ECB who are making huge sacrifice every day to actually deliver, be able to be on the markets as active as they normally are, and all that despite teleworking, despite children at home and all the rest of it. We might be bankers, we're also taking the hit in the same way and having to face the same hardship on a day-to-day basis. And we try to guard against the difficulties that could arise from that. So we are looking at how...
Well, they've made a pretty decent comeback.
German regulations, prescriptions and recommendations evolve over the course of the next few weeks, how we can also ourselves make sure that we exit without jeopardizing our operations, without making the system at risk. I would like to actually tell you that those people who work in teams,
the volume was net buy on the open.
Various countries are also experiencing some tough
even
times.
Though they're selling it.
Yes, we are looking at the exit options. What I can tell you is that because of the social distancing, because of the way we have to work, this return to normal, so to speak, which will be a new normal, is certainly not in the next few months. We are looking at way down and probably out in 2021 in terms of return to a new normal. So for the moment, it's going to be gradual and with two imperatives. The first one is to make sure that staff is safe, stays healthy, is protected. And number two, that we honor our mandate and we
Daniel
do our duty
K says
to
good
the
morning.
citizens of the euro area. Permanent character of the crisis, we certainly hope that this is not the case. As our macroeconomic team has forecasted, while the next quarters will be difficult, we are also looking at a pickup and at our recovery. And the forecast that you will see
it was net positive, but the volume is not a ton.
Results
yet,
that you will see tomorrow, because we publish tomorrow the scenario, indicate actually a recovery and an uptick in the situation in 2021.
Why are you
so we
waiting
very
until
much hope
tomorrow?
that it will not be permanent. And I hope that
RJ Wheel says
the
Trump was
European
screaming for a year to
agencies
lower
and
rate.
institutions
They
under the
just
leadership
ignored
of the
him.
European
Not
Council
exactly
and the
democratic.
Eurogroup will do everything they can
okay.
in order to have a joint approach.
Well, they
and
should
in
have.
order
They
to show
they should have
solidarity to those
reduced
that have
rates
been most
faster, shouldn't they?
affected by the current crisis. Financial
When they had to
stability,
make that
I would
mid-cycle
simply like to
adjustment
say
thing, like they
that,
raised rates in
since
December
the
and then they had
last,
to decrease them
great
2
financial
points.
crisis in 2008,
The Federal
the
Reserve
banks
screwed
are
up
in
there,
much
for
stronger
sure.
positions, and clearly many of them have made a very significant effort to reduce their non-performing loans and have done so. Clearly at the moment, the point is to focus
RJ Wheel
on
says, so you are seeing the
defeating
point.
the economic consequences
Well, I don't think
of,
that they did
the
that
pandemic.
because
But
the,
obviously, financial
screws over
stability,
the little
will
guy or
remain
anything.
of
I think they
concern,
did that
and,
because
the SSM under
they
the
refused
leadership of
to
Luis
Maria
Alred
accept.
says
Enria,
sells and puts in
obviously
action.
are looking at that from
They
a
refused to
macroprudential point
accept
of
the
view.
idea that we can
With that, I think
predict what politicians
closes
are
our
going to
session.
do and try and
Yes,
compensate for that with monetary policy.
There was one more question maybe from Mr. Jack Ewin from the New York Times to
The New York
close
Times.
today's press conference.
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking
Luis
my
Alred
question.
says SMESMYMYMRTYM2K.
Inflation, in light of the decline in inflation for April, I'm wondering if you're expecting inflation to go negative in May and longer term, whether you see...
I mean, if you want to talk about what would be the policy that would be best for the little guy,
Thank you very
isn't
much.
it low
First
rates?
of all, I highly recommend that
How
you look
can
at
they
the
get any
scenario
lower?
publication tomorrow, because they go into great details on those numbers. You know, I'm going to refrain from making any kind of guess estimate of what we see. What we are certain to see is significantly reduced inflation. How much, how, is going to be very difficult to determine. And why is that? Because of the lockdown, essentially, because the price formation mechanisms are not in place. And added to that, you know, simply the collection of data about prices is sometimes very significantly impaired.
Okay.
So I would refrain from that. I think, you know, clearly in the short and medium term, we are seeing inflation expectations and forecasts that are significantly lower than what we had seen. The longer term expectations have not been significantly affected, but we are in a completely exceptional situation, which by many accounts prevents
Luis
forecasters and
Alred says
estimates
CN
from
rising
having
as
any
falling.
kind of accuracy.
And that will close
ZN
today's
hasn't
press
really
conference.
quite moved.
Thank you very much.
All right, so now that they're done, now that they're out of the way, I don't like the sound in my ear, but we need to listen. I didn't listen very well this time. I'm so bad at meetings, man. Even if I'm interested, this is ADHD, folks. Okay, so they're pushing some new lows here, just a tad. Oh, actually, that's not the overnight low, is it? It's just a regular session low. There's still one tick away of the overnight low. It's 29.0150. Okay, so there's the new low. There was some net buying on the open. Now it's overall selling to the tune of negative 2,500. It's like now they're negative, but we're just back to like where they ended up finding some support yesterday, right? Remember that we said like there was a 2920 area was kind of resistance. They hit 2920. They kind of pulled back to around the 20. Well, yeah, and then they fell back to the 2900 area, found support, and then busted up higher. So like we're just back to that area so far. That's the context. Oil pretty all over the place too. Okay, now they're really going. Oof. Interesting. Yeah, the sellers are just kind of bouncing him down. I don't know. I remember earlier I was saying maybe 06 half. I don't know if you ever would have gotten filled. It's been kind of light volume wise there. Pretty strong wave down in the end, huh? DC official says city may not reopen for another 3 months in worst case scenario. And then you would be getting into the fall. And then they would say, oh, we need to close things down for the fall. Okay, well, buyers making a couple of important steps there. We may be getting a reversal here. I'm seeing a few things that tell me that they might be turning back up. I'm still feeling sleepy. Wake up, Seth. Wake up. Need to take a trade. That's what my body wants, the dopamine of clicking in a trade. well. There was a hammer there. Now we're lower still. Back above that, maybe 2904. Oh, that's way up there. That's way bigger than I'm looking at a 5-minute chart though. Still. Oftentimes, not having a plan or trying to trade in and out of these markets leads to worse investment outcomes and missing some great bull markets. Okay. So there was the turn. I am tempted to buy that.
Bot says ZB has full TFC on the hour, day, week and month above 181.28.
ZB does. I'm looking here on the E-mini. At what point do we go positive on things? So for the hour, we have to get all the way back up to 2914. So I'm taking the quick profit on that one because I am against the daily time frame and because I am seeing some absorption.
Bot says ZB just popped to test 162.00.
Yeah, I mean everything that we know about bonds favors buying, right?
Bot says sorry 182.00.
It's the last day of the month. They always buy on the last day of the month. And the economic outlook doesn't look very good. And the book has been long this whole time.
Bot says and still driving.
Yeah. I do wish I had taken it at 06.5, but I think when I was identifying that trade, I don't think that I would have gotten filled. I see 349 traded it last time, so I'm not so sure that I would have gotten. Yeah, I'm not so sure that I would have gotten it, been able to pick it up long. I was just looking at the order flow from that, though. I was just saying, well, I want to buy it. The bid looks like it's at 06.5. Man, I pulled that one off. Ooh, they went back down. have to say though, the way the tape is moving right now, this looks so far to me like a mean reversion play and not like the dead cat bounces over. You know what I mean? Well, I think I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say, but how to describe what the difference between those are. I'm not seeing like true panic amongst the buyers. I'm not seeing like real funky stuff. It actually kind of looks so far to me to be pretty in line with what I should expect to see, which is a return to uh, a value area the previous day when relatively mild volume and relatively calm price action, like the number of outside bars and things like that we're seeing. It's not extreme. They might see a further push higher. Probably take it again right there, but same entry as last time. They seem to be struggling with it. Took that one trade and now I feel sleepy again. I really must not have gotten a good night's rest.
Guido Sledden says, Seth, what do you think are the kind of players in the markets these days? What makes up the bulk of the indexes, you think?
Well, the bulk of the volume is going to be algorithmic trading. It's just the way it is. Those are the market makers, right? But there's going to be a lot of hedge funds involved. Is I think your main customer, right? Hedge fund. The algorithms are your competitors, right? But our customer, the people that we exist to serve, that's the hedge funds. So ask yourself, what is a hedge fund doing today, right? So I say it's the last day of the month. We're having significant earnings this week. We had significant earnings yesterday, which is why they pumped the indexes up to as high as they did. And they got the numbers they wanted. They were good. We got new economic data that's bad, but it's still
Guido
kind of
Sledden says, yes, feels like algos
preliminary.
more than ever.
Still kind of preliminary data. So I think what you will see is a lot of the hedge funds coming in and doing a little bit of window dressing today and hedging themselves heavily to protect against if anything bad happens after their window dressing is done. Hence, and here in the treasuries, it's a little different because here in the treasuries, those dealers are a significant influence on the price, and they're always well, not always, but they accumulate inventory at the end of the month. So we tend to see treasuries move up at the end of the month. That said, nothing too dramatic yet. I've found that it's often when we've seen those really big, strong, scary moves in the treasuries, they've been at the end of the month. But we're not getting that, at least not yet. They pushed pretty good there in the treasury, but look at how quickly they sputtered back down. Now 07 half. Somebody absorbing a little bit at 07 half. So you can take 07 half, but maybe if you want 07 or 06 half again, it might be hard. Okay, now I'm seeing a little bit of activity. They seemed to think that was significant. Okay. Well, that's gonna run too far against me. That looks like okay support there too.
Luis Alarid says 08.5.
Okay. Am I going cross-eyed there? I feel so sleepy. I want to stand up, go to the bathroom, get some more water, drink a lot of water. Just get the blood going. I kind of I'm thinking about going long again, but I guess it is a pretty big push back up to the open, so.
Winston's mom says good morning, everyone, and did speculator Seth fall asleep under his desk? This is now the part where I ask everyone to please hit like, thank you.
No, I just went to go get some more water and stand up a little bit because we did the ECB press conference today and it was boring. It was really boring. Okay, so
Luis Alarid says black tea with coffee chasing it focused and green. Winston's mom says did you get some sleep last night? You were exhausted yesterday afternoon?
yeah, but I mean I did get to sleep in bed when I wanted to, but my wife was up all night and it was just me and the
Gary
baby,
Rich
and
says
I
gotta
think that I
snort
didn't sleep
caffeine
very deep
pills,
because of that. I think that I slept a lot lighter because of that. What the thing was is I don't recall her coming back upstairs until like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. So she was working on her stuff until late. Okay. Well, I kind of missed I really 2904 would have been a good spot. I kind of held off on it, but they are getting a little ahead of themselves, it seems.
Luis Alarid says snorting go to try that hee.
Snorting caffeine pills. Caffeine doesn't affect me the way that it does normal people, though. Could actually make me more
RJ Wheel
sleepy.
says 24 half target. VWAP just above to strengthen attraction.
Yeah, maybe I should put a view up on my 5-minute chart. I don't know. Where is it on? Oh, we're above it. We're well above it. 2902.75. The treasury is coming back down there hard.
Luis Alarid says Seth still waiting on her coffee mug, no rush.
Did you ordered it? You ordered it? Get your Trader's Gonna Trade mug in the store in the video description below. It took mine a few days to come because, shipping and stuff is all behind. I'm wondering if I can see over here. I don't know if I want to touch it until they either pull back or go for that high. Oh. Yeah, I can see a couple of people bought them. That's cool. Enjoy. I really like it. I think it's great, dude. I'm so impressed with how sharp it is and how nice it looks. Really am. Yeah, in the video description, there's a link where you can buy your own mug. Okay, so we're getting a shooting star here. They fighting this hard. Okay, did we get some news here? Well, we had the Chicago PMI was 35.4 versus 38. I don't really see that there should be anything else. Looks like they got to the open though, so we could probably try and play something around here. Darn it. That's not what I wanted. 14 would have been better.
Winston's mom says it's a good-looking mug. You should use product placement and set it so the viewers can see it every day.
Right. I want to get like a little shelf to go in the corner back there, and I put it on that. Okay, well, I'm not too terribly enthusiastic about that. Wow, that one worked out really well. Ouch. Okay. Interesting. So I'm getting really jerky movements here on both sides. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. The downside, they are absorbing, but that shouldn't be going down that far against me. Yeah, damn. I was a little slow on that one. So that puts me down a little bit now. Wow. Very aggressive. I tell you, on that last one, I really wish that I had dumped it sooner, but I'm really happy with the placement and the spot that I caught and everything. I definitely caught something and had a bit of backwash and got some good excursion on it. The way that is turning though is a little crazy. It's not just a little crazy, it's way crazy. That's like way too far. Now, I shouldn't say way too far, but just extremely unexpected move down. missed it. Darn, that would have been a good trade too. That was almost a 15-point move down and back up in a matter of a minute or two. Wow, that was bad positioning for sure. I might get lucky here. Nope. Well, that kind of sucks. I missed one and then I had a bad placement. See, that is what I got to avoid right there. Is I hit into it. The bid was not with me.
Winston's mom says I have been reading about Tara Reid, the staffer who is accusing Biden of sexual harassment.
Mm-hmm.
She has some really odd tweets about Putin. Her story keeps getting embellished. Something is odd there.
Well, the story might be embellished, but it was really a long time ago. But the thing is like she reported it right away. She reported it right away. I would say that it's pretty credible. At least it's a lot more credible than the other claims that have been made against politicians, like the ones that they focus so much with Donald Trump. It's incredibly curious that CNN hasn't even mentioned the story, apparently. Can you believe that they haven't even mentioned that story? Possibly the biggest story other than the coronavirus in politics of this year, and they're not covering it at all. They're going to turn back down, man. I don't know why I can't seem to catch
DJ
that.
Spinglass says CNN did last night.
Did they finally talk about it last night? But it is true that there has been, they're saying that over time her story has changed.
DJ Spinglass says Aaron Burnett.
Oh, okay. Aaron. Well, of course it was Aaron. I tell you what, Aaron is a very independent person. I need to wait for an actual spot that I can get a better probability on, because the momentum is not carrying me at the moment. See, like right here is what I want it right there, but it's not. Right? Well. That's a little better.
Luis Alarid says wonder if she will go before Congress.
Go before Congress? I don't know if that would happen. Probably she will just follow Biden around everywhere and... Okay. So they triggered some real pushback there after they broke that high. They go back up there again, we could have a good strong move. I guess not. I mean, the thing that I would take out of that story right
RJ
now.
Wheel says odd is media not covering. Odd is
Yeah.
senators like Gillibrand and Harris and Congress Lady Pelosi questioning the veracity when they called Dr. Ford's flimsy story the hallmark of truth.
Oh yeah, totally, RJ will. I mean, here's the takeaway that I would get from that story. It's not going away. It's not going away, and I think that Democrats should be nervous because even if you don't believe her story, it's going to be a thing, and it kind of hurts Joe Biden in the place where it hurts Democrats the most right now, I think.
RJ Wheel says I wish Al Franken got this berth. He'd maybe be a nominee the country could embrace instead of a nominee who offers creepy embraces.
Al Franken.
Luis Alarud says no Kavanaugh circus for her.
Except for that we all remember why Al Franken had to resign, right? So that wouldn't be much better.
Gary Rich says Biden is lost and can't remember what he ate 10 minutes ago. It's sad the Dem Party would let him run.
It is. I tell you what, they're really fighting me here. I'm trying to catch momentum in spots and it's not. I'm having a really hard time having it continue through for me on any of these. Notice they come back to
RJ Wheel says it's going to be an issue. His cognitive stumbles.
Yeah. Well, the cognitive stumbles is like a totally different thing. I think that if you're running against Donald Trump and your case is that he has been an irresponsible leader, okay, then having a candidate that has pretty serious and significant sexual assault allegations against him is probably the worst thing that like cuts at the heart of your message, right? Now, the thing that I find that I'm wondering is, like in October, are more people going to start coming out and saying stuff based on the story that she told? A guy that does that doesn't just do it once. You know what I mean? But we haven't heard anything yet. Well, we're coming into the counter trend time period now. I'm getting a ding on a unclear setup. Oh, whoops. Shit, that's not what I wanted to do.
DJ Spinglass says what parameters does a signal look at?
and really is just looking for that the line crosses and that the lines are coming closer together. Man, I've just got to walk away from this dude. Like, that was a bad mistake. Okay, so I'm gonna have to look here. I should probably, when I'm looking through
RJ
all of
Wheel
that.
says, and the mother talked about it in 94 on their network. And
Yeah.
they called a video that surfaced.
And then they hid the video. It really is like, I gotta say, I mean, Wen pointed out that there's been some questionable things about her story. I don't think that the people talking about this story have really heard that part of it. Basically, that she's been accusing him from the very beginning, and this isn't the first time that she's made the allegations. It's the first time I think that it's been so public, and they it's kind of changed a little bit. Well, I would say that given the circumstances, you might expect that to happen a bit. So I don't think that it really changes the authenticity of the claim.
RJ Wheel says my run to 24 stumbled. Will reload lower.
I don't know. I tried taking them when they were like right on the edge, and I never quite got it to go just quite for it to go. They were so on the edge, like, really? Just another little sweep of volume up and we would be off to the races, and it never happened. But it could still happen. They do look to be consolidating higher.
Luis Alarid says Hillary Clinton says all female sexual assault accusers have the right to be believed. DJ Spinglass says who hid the video? I didn't hear that. Are you talking about the Larry King video?
Yeah, the Larry King video. If you go on like CNN's Apple app, the video was not there. And it's unclear if it was ever there. We don't know if they hid it or what happened.
RJ Wheel says yes.
Okay. Can you imagine? 3 ticks. It's having
Winston's
trouble
mom
getting
says
it.
anytime a woman makes an accusation like this, I think there should be an investigation. However, I am not sure these kind of charges matter anymore. Trump has 17 women, at least.
Yeah, but
RJ Wheel says long resumption.
Back up, though. There's not a single one of those that are credible. Not a single one. Like, that's the thing that's so funny about the Tara Reade thing. This is why it's why conservatives are laughing about it. Because when Donald Trump was accused, like, a woman said that, oh, we were in an elevator and he forcibly kissed me or something like that. So first of all, wasn't really a very serious allegation. But second of all, she's like pushing a book at I don't know if it was this specific one, but there was a bunch of women, they were pushing a book. Remember that lady? She was just absolutely crazy. She said rape is sexy on CNN. She's just like an absolute nut. And they're giving her all of this stage time when it appears that she's just making the allegation for attention, and there's nothing credible about the allegation. Meanwhile, with Tara Reid, she reported it when it happened. He did something serious. He stuck his finger up her cooch, right? She's been consistent with it. She's not, like, it is so much more credible, and they don't give it any attention. It's total bullshit.
Luis Alarid says my target hit on ZN08.5.
Now, don't get me wrong. Joe Biden has, the right to, have allegations against him proven. You're innocent until proven guilty, just like with Donald Trump. But the media bias, the media double standard is just astounding, and the political ramification of it, I think, is significant. People are going to notice. People are going to hear about
do you think they don't mention it too much because of credibility concerns or just pushing Biden? Mika is another one that is curiously quiet.
I think that if you were going to make an excuse to defend the media, that your excuse would be that coronavirus is a more interesting story right now. I think that's their excuse. Yeah, it looks like we're in the counter trend period. I don't know why I took that. I got excited because it was moving back up. We're well past the like. So I think if I'm gonna look at the ones that I took, there was like that one,
Winston's
and then we'd
mom
have
says
to stop.
Mika Ferret is napping now. She is also curiously quiet while Juliet Ferret snores.
But I don't think I'm really taking good signals. The one that
Gary
I was
Rich
supposed
says
to take
Hillary
was
unbelieving
like at
accusers
05.
of bills is like blind people playing Scrabble with gypsies.
Right. Well, that's that they're bringing Hillary Clinton into it too is like, what? Like, wouldn't you want to keep her as far away as possible? It's so weird.
RJ Wheel says they are unmasked.
But I think that this shows you something else. The Joe Biden campaign is not ready for prime time right now. They are not ready for this.
DJ Spinglass says you mean the Hillary endorsement?
Yeah. They had like that town hall, and she was saying that he was a trustworthy guy and everything, and it's just like, yeah, no, that's a really bad idea. You gonna close lower there?
DJ Spinglass says toxic.
It is. But I just think that if you were a insider,
Bot says PM me on Discord when you get back to discussing trading. Ciao for now.
You would, if you don't want to talk about politics, it's fine. You would think that if you were a political insider in the Democrat Party, seeing what's going on right now, you would be concerned. You'd have to be concerned. It's absolutely.
RJ Wheel says Hillary should endorse. If anyone van voucher Harriservitz.
I don't know. From a tactical standpoint, everything I see going on
RJ
over
Wheel
there
says
is
harasser
a
it's her.
disaster. Are you gonna finally ever get it? Mm-hmm.
Luis Alarid says remember how Snowden spoke about massive NSA surveillance but now no compliance on how Google and Apple are doing it right now for COVID reasons.
Oh, Don't even get into that. Like, here's the thing. There was like that video that got removed from YouTube. I'm wondering if they'll get reinstated. But I tell you what, they've got to change the way that they do this content enforcement. It's not okay. It's kind of retarded that you can basically destroy a channel with an algorithm. Like, the algorithm can come in and flag your video and remove it, and you can screw over your channel. No recourse. It's not fair. There should be, I've said this a ton of times, and people always kind of laugh at me, but I'm dead serious. There should be internet court. There should be internet social media court, so that and companies that are large enough should be required to have them. And these courts, there would be a court where the rules of the site are enforced. So the rules of the court are the rules of that website, but you are still judged by peers, a council of peers and content guideline professionals. And if your channel is removed improperly, or a video is removed improperly, you should be able to sue to have your video reinstated.
DJ Spinglass says it's amazing how powerful Jim Clyburn's endorsement was to shift the race. And everyone followed. Winston's mom says that's a good idea. Is there a YouTube suggestion box somewhere?
Oh, I'm pretty sure that they've heard the idea before. But people don't take it seriously. They're just like, it's just the internet, guys. Don't take it too seriously. It's not just the internet anymore, guys. The internet is so powerful, it might as well just be the whole world. In some cases. Now, this one with the coronavirus, doesn't particularly bother me, because I don't really agree with what those guys are saying, I guess. But it shouldn't be taken down. They didn't break any rules. He's giving his opinion about something. And quite frankly, they say like I think the counter here, hold on. I want to keep an eye on this.
Luis Alarid says Space Force, yay, why not Internet Force?
Internet Force. I just, the thing that bothers me, one of the things that bothers me, is that they say this is what the experts recommend. But the truth is that the experts on this matter do not agree completely on everything. And I think that even though they don't necessarily say it when they're on TV, there's kind of an implicit understanding that even the scientists don't really know 100% what's going on or what's going to happen. We don't have the
Gary
data
Rich
to know.
says YouTube is littered with employees who are liberated with C, who are triggered by their own shadows.
For people that would say that we don't need to have a lockdown for the coronavirus, I would disagree with them, but they have a legitimate, viable theory. One that's so viable that Sweden is carrying it out. So how can you be removing a video off of YouTube off of that? They shouldn't be doing it. For sure. What recourse do you have? They can do whatever they want. They can literally do whatever they want. Well, that one turned out better, but I don't know if I had any better of a setup on that one than anything else. It was
RJ
just a
Wheels
little
says
bit
here
better
we
of a
go.
time.
S Runner.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy with it so far. I do kind of think that we could get some really strong uptrend now. Remember when I was saying if we can just break that high, then we should be able to be off to the races. There was some stops up there, but they're not quite off to the races yet, are they? So I should curb my enthusiasm a little. I'm just seeing pressure right now, so there might be another slip up. But overall, I'm not happy with the way things went today. I shouldn't have taken all of those trades up in there. I had one trade that was really good. Well, the first one was great. But there was one that was long that I missed. The one from 29.0, what was it? 29.0375. I really should have caught that one, and then I could have avoided all this. So that disappoints me.
Winston's mom says I wrote that sentence badly. I wonder if the trolls affect someone's channel more than just a moderator finding troublesome content on a channel affects that channel. The downvotes add up, also.
Well, no, actually, the downvotes actually
says Sweden
help.
sequestered only the elderly.
Yeah, they only sequester. So when somebody downvotes your video, what it does is it makes your video significantly less likely to ever show up as a recommended video for that individual again. But if a video has a high number of downvotes, it actually increases the chances of the video being shown to other people. They don't count downvotes as against your engagement score. It's all engagement. And so having a highly controversial video with lots of upvotes and lots of downvotes doesn't hurt your channel at all. It's funny because there's been some people that have been trying to troll our channel, and their trolling has helped our channel grow. It has helped our channel grow, and their channel's not going anywhere. Anyways, not talking about anybody specifically, but there's been more than one. Apparently, we've made it, guys. Apparently, we've made it that other channels care enough about us.
Gary Rich says the velocity of the moves yesterday. It's natural for a slight pullback. The night session showed this. Trend carefully.
Thanks, Gary. I mean, I was going long. Not because I was like incredibly bullish or anything, but because the action down at the bottom suggested to me that it was a pullback and not a bigger thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see a move back up above 29.20. Look, note that we get there to the 20 and it's acting as some resistance again. But it wasn't like they fought over it or anything, so we can pull back and maybe they'll go right back up there. Nate Silver, given what we seem to be learning about outdoor transmission, that seems like a way to possibly erode public support for lockdown measures while not necessarily getting a huge amount of mileage in terms of public health. Suggesting that so we have a problem with this coronavirus thing. They're going to roll back the restrictions. I think that it's going to be fine. At least short term. You'll see a slight increase in cases and maybe people will panic for a little bit, but overall they'll be fine. It'll decline. But then the problem is going to be that there's not going to be enough immunity. There's not going to be enough herd immunity to weather the fall storm when the transmission rate increases again. And they may need to impose lockdown restrictions again. And after the summer and everything like that, I don't think people will be as supportive of it next time around. I'm a little concerned about that. Well, they're just kind of ranging here now. I think we can let everything catch back up to us, and then maybe they might be able to push back up again.
Winston's mom says so. What are your plans for the fall, or have you not quite decided how to approach this? Will you continue to work from home, and what about your wife? Will she go back to the airlines, if possible?
So she is on maternity leave as long as she can. They were actually, she actually qualified for unemployment. which I can't believe. But so she's gonna do that, and she's been sewing. She's been making money making masks. I'm quite impressed. She's maybe working a little bit too hard now, though. So we're gonna have to help her with time management. Gonna have to teach her time management. That's always been the problem. She has the she's overly motivated, but she does not have resource management skills. We got to teach her that. Anyways, so for me, I'm just gonna do what the work says. If I can stay home, then I will. At some point, if my wife goes back to work, then I have paternity leave that I can take. So to watch the baby. Sorry, we're back. It got hit there a little bit.
Winston's mom says I think Mrs. Speculator Seth is an ISFJ and those women work hard. They need to have someone tell them to take a break, put on their own oxygen mask first.
Well, so her issue is that her brain very much responds to serotonin. So if you get a task that she likes, it's like a repetitive task, like sewing, for instance. She really likes that stuff, and it's like addicting. So it's hard to stop. I don't think, but on this one, I don't know if maybe it was avoidable. Like I think that what happened was she got contacted late by people, and then she told them, "Oh yeah, I can have it tomorrow." And I think that what she needs to do is go and say, okay, how much time does it take to make one, and how much time do I realistically have during a day? And she's going to have to plan her time out, because she's probably never really, I don't think she's ever really had to do, like in school, as a kid, they did homeschool. Of course, there was college, but I just don't think that she's ever really had to manage time. So we'll do that. Now, the funny thing is that the state of Utah has just brought out a program saying that they're going to buy a mask for everybody in Utah. And you can go and request,
Winston's
and they'll
mom
send
says
you
her
6
relief
masks
function.
for free.
She has a new baby, a virus to deal with. She's tired and the airlines are all kafloofy. Some women might drink. She makes masks. Lol, thank your lucky stars.
Right. So that kind of like hits her business, but I guess her masks are better, frankly, and people want them still. So that's kind of cool. At least for now. We'll see in a week from now if they still want them or not. Once that news is kind of disseminated to everybody and they've all gotten them and stuff. Okay. So I'm seeing sellers look like they're trying hard again. See, what happened here was we were going along this whole time and we were just catching bad spots, and then we just got lucky. I don't think that I ever really had a really positive setup. Now, if we go and we break the high again, then that's going to be a good setup. But we may have to sit through a lot of drama to do it. Oh, is it already 8:40? Okay.
Luis Alarid says the mask cabal is raking in the dollar.
Right.
Winston's mom says Kate Spade was a designer famous for her handbags and prints. Dana Lucas was her graphic designer and has her own business now. I think your wife would like the prints that Dana Lucas uses.
I was telling you guys yesterday, it was like, we just don't have enough friends in high places. We could have gotten that contract. They worked with 3 companies to make all of these masks. We're not one of them. Obviously, we can't make a million masks. She's sewing them all by hand, but still. Gotta get that kid. I mean, I could go, and the thing is those guys up there and the governor said they weren't my guys. They were, I mean, Herbert was okay, but Herbert kind of got in before I really got involved. And now they're pushing Cox. I really don't like him. I really, really don't like him. So
RJ Wheels says my GF got a job selling masks to corporations.
there you go. Well, I was telling her we need to start working on more advanced technologies now. So we'll see. Maybe start making them out of stretchy fabric and filters and holes in them and stuff. So the sellers gave a good push down there. We're back to the open, and now once again at the open, quite a bit of volume going through. I wish that I had sold the contract up at the top so that I could maybe mess with the range in this area, but yeah, they're gonna go down. They can stop everybody out. And the hour is negative.
Winston's mom says RJ Wheel, how did she arrive at this job? Is she in pharmaceuticals or business-to-business sales? Are these masks an upgraded mask or just bulk lots? Luis Alarid says corn traders doing well today FYI.
Darn. I mean, that was enough of a downturn that I have to be a little bit skeptical about them turning back up now, huh? Wow. Well, that's a significant downturn. Okay, here's another. Wow, they just blew right
RJ
through that
Wheel
one.
says clinical hospital worthy approved made in China. She lost her job to a retail bankruptcy in February. One of her clients hired her for this special project.
Missed it.
Winston's mom says workers are uniting and striking May 1st, International Workers' Day, to protest working conditions at Amazon, Instacart, Shipt, Whole Foods, Walmart, Target and FedEx.
Sounds like one of those things that they're doing all the time these days. Well, that did not turn out the way it was supposed to. I think I'm going cray here. Like, I don't think I don't think that was really, well, but we did break the thing. I don't know. I'm just not catching good spots with it, unfortunately, like I was yesterday or earlier in the week. So I'm going to keep messing with it,
RJ
but
Wheels
we're
says I
clearly
like the
beyond
video
there.
of the Amazon worker outside one of their facilities holding up dildos complaining he's forced to pick and pack such essential products at this time.
I don't understand why I mean, are they having trouble getting stuff shipped everywhere? I don't. It kind of seems to me like a lot of their restrictions on essential items are unnecessary and are just causing the delays in and of themselves. Yeah, see, I took that and then, man, it's just fight me so badly today.
Winston's mom says I only have one comment on that and it's one comment too many, but why? Can someone please explain to me, why are those things so darn huge? I mean, come on, pun not intended.
Have you never seen The Bad Dragon? Never mind. You know what? Don't look that up. Don't look that up. This is an outside bar, friends. The thing that's funny is that I was so on that first trade, and then since then I've really lost it. But like I said, I was tired. I don't think I got a good night's rest today, so I'm not gonna stress over it too badly. I guess not quite sure what it is I'm looking for at the moment. We're kind of in a, yeah. So this outside bar, it's on the 15-minute time basis. So what's going on there? There's the view on. You know what? We should check something here. This is a little bit higher today.
RJ Wheels says upgrade it. Biz to biz win.
84.45. Okay. Oh, that 12 should show some attraction, yeah. Right there. Okay. They think that that's a little bit better of a setup, but it's still technically against the time frame. So failing. Everything's failing on me today, guys. Yeah. Outside, everything, everywhere. It's kind of annoying. Hmm. Okay. Well, that might be a little bit more positive.
RJ Wheels says long or short? Winston's mom says Friday, May 1st, the 8 aquariids have been slowly ramping up since last week and will peak in another few days. It's not one of the year's best meteor showers due to its low altitude radiant. Winston's
Weather
mom
that
says in the northern hemisphere and low predicted rate of just 10 meteors per hour at its peak. Mars hanging nearby and a still crescent moon in the sky, copied.
we'll whether we close above or below the open today, I think is extremely unclear at the moment. We just got a pretty good run not long, and now look, they're coming back. They might be able to pressure them back below 2908. I don't know. There's definitely some sell pressure there. What the hell? Like the buyers just completely let it dip there. Yeah. Wow, and then it flips back along so quickly. Hmm.
Winston's mom says 24 watching now. Will everyone please take a quick second to hit like thank you?
Okay, so they're pushing again higher. Oh, there's a strong order up here at 2912 at the VWAP. Okay, so they're through that. Maybe they come back to the open again. Still, they're being a little bit gun shy here. The buyers are. They might hit into a new local high here. But notice how they're not just like badoosh into it, right? Have to be coaxed into it. Okay. And when the sell volume comes in, those guys are pushing. Kind of wondering if I should switch my DOMs around. Like if I did it like this, I might be able to see things a little bit better. But I'm worried that I would want to click over here. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Hmm. They ran out of steam really quickly there. Okay. Now this is a much stronger impulse. Okay. There's finally the open. $9 still? Okay. Well, 29.17 was the open of this hour. So they're close. This bar is going to be inside. Okay. It is. Yes. Oh. Look, I have a baby. It's like, yo, boys, how's it going? You want to hold my hand? You want to pull my finger? Pull my finger. Pull my finger. There we go. Pull my finger. Good boy. Show him how strong you are. You get a pretty strong grip. There you go. Just gonna sit here. I want to let this ride a little bit. I want to see above 29.20. So he's still a little tired. He's still waking up and stretching. Two inside bars now, huh? It's not necessarily a good sign, is it? Oh, I forgot that you guys are over here. So we ran out of requests. He looks more alert now. A little bit less baby and a bit more baby. He really has quite a head of hair. Yeah, he has a lot of hair. They really don't want to let it stay above that open. got this, boys. You get up there and get it. Get up there and get it. Are you going to the bathroom there? You're making a lot of grunting noises. Oh, I'll tell John that we did baby time later. He can watch it on replay. I know. He wasn't charged, so I put it on the thing. Kidding. Getting some signals here again. They're gonna be difficult, although. Oh, make the alert tone a little softer. Is it too loud? I can turn that down. Open volume mixer. Yeah, oh, this should be like way down, yeah. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Well, for now, they're remaining constrained. Are we seeing some movement in the... Oh, yes, we did. Dollar index took a dive there. Hmm. Interesting. The treasuries have had a little bit of back and forth today, but then they come back to the '07 in the end. That beep right there was not a reliable one. Coming through some pretty rangy action here. Oi. I just hate how easily it moves sometimes. You know, like you can trade 500 here and then only 18 here. Like, okay. 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 They're trying to push it out through the top. There, they got it. There's still this kind of local high 29.15. Okay, now they're through that. Then 29.1675. They're still fighting over the open. It's kind of funny, like they have this ranged area here. It's down in here, around 13. And then we pushed out, and then they get to the open, and so now they come back into that ranged area. So is that a false breakout? Well, sure did come back down fast, didn't it? Okay. We had that one that was really worked out really, really well, and we really should have taken more out of that, I think. Hey, is MES on the left? Yeah, I moved it over to be on the left. Someone's trying to hold it there. Out there, it broke. And I tell you what, if that's all there ends up being in that short, I have to say, though, the index has turned really negative there. Like the tick, whether it went really negative there. Hmm. Hmm. I'm not sure about that one. There is this. Let's. It's 2916. No, I think it has to be short. Okay. Feels like it's just getting more messy and more tight. Nope. It's not going for it. I'm going negative, hope it goes up. It has been a really odd session today. Really, we have not gotten very far away from the open, and it's just been really tight. It looks to me like that the time frame's favoring the shorts, and they're just not getting what they want. And I think at some point it could turn green, and then maybe we'll have a solid move up. But for now, it's been hard trading for me. Of course, I said I was tired. I think that has a bit to do with it too. I don't think I've really been taking good signals here. I got something that I'm a good setup here though. Nope. Mistake. That was a mistake. Man. What a mess. Okay. Let's hold on. Really? Really? Huh. Huh. Going for broke. That is sketchy, yeah. Okay. Well, you tell what, I'm going to keep trading this. Of course, we did hit we had 3 in a row, so I'd stop. Outside bars, what would we have gotten if I'd done that? Would it be, those ones can add up, or wait. I am really not on today. Like, this is simple math and I'm having a hard time here. So at that right there, that would be 10, 15, 20. So it would have been minus 20 today. I think if I had followed a little better, the damage wouldn't be too bad, but I think it would be down. Now, there were some trades where I could have made it up and I wasn't very good at taking profits on it either. So I think I just burned out really fast. But this market right here is turning into a real grinder. Whichever side of this thing it comes out on, it's going to roar out, I think. But I'm going to keep trading it. But I do have to quit because I'm going to have to do meetings and stuff like that. So I will see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable.